Sitaram Guruji. Oh, well, shall tell me that? No. That was just a joke. How long? But I didn't hear Steve and him say that because they just come on and leave it so. Hey Philip, how are you? Yeah, you go ahead. Somebody on the line? Sardar. You sure? Oh. Walaikum salam. I pulled it up by again. I seen it.
Well, on the roads, safety first, so think twice and save a life. It's very simple. Wearing your seatbelt can save your life, whether you're behind the wheel for an hour or a minute. Buckle up, folks. It's never intentional, that's why it's called an accident. So just in case, buckle up. Driver seat, passenger seat, or the back seat. It doesn't matter where. The seatbelt saves lives. So on the road, buckle up, think twice, and save a life. Powered by Vemcot, the Vehicle Management Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago, Power 102, Boom 94, in association with the Computers and Control, also Arrive Alive and the TTPS.
Power 102, celebrating the Masters. Celebrating the Masters. Come and enjoy the sweet, enticing sound of Pan, Calypso, and the best of Carnival 2019. Celebrating the Masters with ticket giveaways to some of your favorite carnival shows and facts, interesting historical features, and to keep you updated and in the know, our Carnival Calendar 2019, celebrating the masters. Celebrating the masters is only on Carnival Power 102, empowering you. Sexplosion is on Power 102, and now on new days and at new times. The country's most informative sex education program, Sexplosion, is on every Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. and Fridays from 9 p.m. to midnight with Dr. Raj, the guru of sex in the Caribbean.
A lot of times we think that sex is totally below the waist. It is not below the waist. It starts in the brain. Your largest sex organ that you possess is your brain.
Tune in for discussion on all sexual matters. Sexplosion on Power 102, empowering you.
Sita, good night.
Looking fresh, man.
AG1.
Okay. Well, thank you for staying here with us on Power 102.1 FM. And a very special good evening to you. Special thanks as always to my brother Mac Daddy, kicking off our afternoon into evening programming here on Power 102.1 FM. And a very special thanks as always to Skippy and Richard Norrie. Well, we do welcome you to Sexplosion, Trinidad and Tobago #1 nighttime program when it comes to sex education with the only sexologist in the Caribbean, Dr. Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center located out at St. Augustine, where he do treat all sexual dysfunctions in both male and female. And a very special good evening to you, my big brother.
Pleasant good evening to you.
And how are you today?
I'm fine. To all the listeners out there, pleasant good evening to you. To all the viewers, I think we're back up on the app.
Yes, we are. Yes.
So for those of you out there who are listening to the program, viewing the program, pleasant good evening to you. And we're here to sexucate.
Yes, educate.
Sex education for you. Why is that light blinking all the time?
I think well, maybe it's a phone call.
Check and see.
Yeah.
It may not be for us, but
No.
check and see.
Hi, hello, and welcome to Sexplosion. Good evening. Well, you can see it wasn't for us.
I hear nothing. You know, Junior, when you start off the program, you make mention that I'm the only sexologist in the Caribbean. And I want to clarify that because a lot of people don't understand what that means. To be a sexologist, first of all, it is the study of sex, sexuality, gender issues, anything to do with the anatomy and related to sexual situation, the human body and sexual situation. There are issues that we all face with sex and sexuality. Gender issues also is something that we look at. But when I started to take this career path, at a very young age, 11 years and 4 months, there was no such thing as a sexologist. Absolutely not. The terminology did not exist. The study of sex was done by Masters and Johnsons. They were done more clinically by doctors and psychiatrists. So you had a lot of work that were done. Well, of course, you have Carl Jung and what's that other one? Freud and all those theories that were based on sex and sexuality and sexual behavior. So we had to study that. It's part of our studies. Now, my first degree is in accounting, but I did 5 minor degrees also. So I always knew my career path had to do something with sex. So I made it a point to study sex at a very young age. Even when I was in high school at Northeastern College in Sagre Grande, I used to go to the school library, get as much books as I could on sex and sexuality and sexual behavior and whatnot, and read and read and read and read. Well, in those days, they didn't have photocopiers. So you have to rewrite what you're reading if you want to take notes. So I was very good at taking notes. So I'll take notes of what I wanted to read and reread. I'll borrow some of the books. And that's how I started my career. I went to the Sagre Grande Public Library, and there was not much in the general section, but there was a lot in the adult section. I had a lot of adult friends who would borrow books for me too, because they had no interest in it. And everyone used to find it very funny that I always wanted to read about these things and do a study of it. And one of the things about being a sexologist is you become a social anthropologist. You study society, you study behavior, you study patterns, you study lifestyle, culture, all these things and the impact that it has on people. I was very fortunate after leaving Northeastern College to go straight into university in the United States in Florida, Nova University. I know people question these things all the time, so that's why I'm calling out the names also. It's called Nova Southeastern University now. When I went, it was plain Nova University. And I started my studies in accounting, was doing my degree in accounting, and one of my partial degree, or something that I studied on the side, was sex and sexuality and behavior. And I liked psychology and sociology because it tied in very well with what I was studying. But remember, there was no name as a sexologist. We would have guest lecturers coming from throughout the world and doing lectures and telling us different things. And sometimes you could take the lecture down a path that deals with sexuality and sexual behavior. But I don't think that there were a lot of qualified individuals in that realm also, except for Ruth, Dr. Ruth, which she came to our university once. And I continue with that, and I made a study and a practical study of it, meaning that I got involved with a lot of things in the sexual realm that the ordinary man would be afraid to or would not think that they could do it. The first thing I did, I went to work at an adult bookshop. It was called an adult bookshop in those days, an adult bookstore. That was a sex store. It was the name that was used for a sex shop. But in Florida, you couldn't use the word sex shop. So it was called an adult bookstore. When you go to the adult bookstore, there was one on one on 441, just before 84 on the right-hand side, which is the western side. And I applied for a job, part-time job, got a job, started working there, going to school. Most of my classes were in the evening and nighttime. In those days, it was something that they were just introducing, which was called adult education. And my degree was mainly in the evening to nighttime, which I loved, so I could go during the day and work at the store. I grew up in a store environment. I grew up, first of all, my grandfather used to sell on the pavement in Sagre Grande. Then he started a store, which was Ramnan and Bargain store. Then he started another store, which was the Champers. So I grew up in a store. So I knew about selling, and I love selling. To this day, I love selling. I don't like the retail trade so much, but I love selling. It's in my blood. So training as a sexologist started at a very young age, without there being a definition of what I wanted to become. There was no definition. So anybody asked me, say, yeah, I want to teach people about sex. I used to tell people that, and they used to look at me and say, you mad? You want to teach people about sex? What do you know about sex? How you could want to teach people about sex? I say, okay, well, that's what I want to do. But again, it was a passion. I felt an inner drive to become this. It wasn't something that I read about and wanted to become, you know. And that's the funny thing about it when I think back. There was two things I wanted in life at that time, at 10, 11 years of age. And that was to have the best gym in Trinidad and Tobago and to do something with sex and sex education. Now remember, there was no such thing as sex education. So when we come back from the break, we'll deal with that.
Are the problems and destructive anxieties of today tearing you apart? If there was ever a time to readjust your priorities and refocus your vision, it's now. Join Pastor Wayne Sampson on the Vision of Hope devotional program every Monday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. right here on Power 102 FM. Jesus is the only one who can give you peace in the midst of today's storm.
Ballpark, Macoya Road, McCoy is the best football turf in the country, and all facilities are available for rental. Yes, 7-a-side, 8-a-side, vet matches, big goal, and full event rentals are now possible at the country's premier football facility, ML Ballpark, with a fieldside bar and restaurant, lit pitches for evening and night games, plus secured parking for all patrons. For more information, email ballparktt@gmail.com or call 201-BALL. That's 201-2255. Check them out on Facebook and Instagram at Ballpark TT, or visit the website ballparktt.com. TNT's premier football venue, available for rentals. ML Ballpark, formerly known as the Marvin Lee Stadium, Macoya Road, McCoy. The ML Ballpark, sponsored by Sunshine Snacks and Medical Associates.
Are you fed up of car problems? Well, your solution is Champlain Auto Services. They repair all vehicles, makes and models, even roll-on and roll-off vehicles. Champlain Auto Services is your one-stop shop for batteries, tires, alignment, tune-up, suspension, electrical, and diagnostic scans. Record services, and we'll even pick up and drop off your vehicle. So don't waste precious time going elsewhere. Let Champlain Auto Services handle it all. Give them a call at 662-6545. Champlain Auto Services, opposite Carib Brewery on the Eastern Main Road. Your total car care stock.
Power 102 FM
Boom Champions 94
and Vemcott
present Think Twice.
Think Twice.
We celebrate life and promote safety on the nation's roads.
Think twice on the roads, in your cars, for our pedestrians and cyclists.
Think twice before you drive, act, and go about your daily lives.
Every life is precious, and we must each do our part to preserve lives on the roads of Trinidad and Tobago.
Think twice.
Every day, we give you life-saving tips and advice on how you can safely use our roads and highways in Trinidad and Tobago. We also invite you to download this safety app, which you can use to share messages and information in your very own private networks between family and friends and co-workers, all to keep each other safer.
Think twice.
Brought to you by the Vehicle Management Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago Limited, VEMCOT, in association with Arrival Live and the TTPS, the Galette Group of Companies and Computers and Controls.
Think twice.
Think twice.
Safety for you and your family.
Think twice.
And a safer Trinidad and Tobago.
You're tuned into Sexplosion of Power 102.1 FM with Dr. Raj, taking over time to 21 minutes after 7 o'clock.
Pleasant good evening to Seema. She has joined us. She's from Deep South. She has joined us on Facebook now. So that's a good thing.
Yes, it is.
So I decided to make a study of sex, sexuality, sexual behavior. I don't think any time in my life I ever discriminated against anyone based on color, creed, class, or race, and sexuality or sexual behavior. I've had a lot of friends who were gay at that time. I knew they were gay and it never bothered me. When I was going to university, I had friends who, as a matter of fact, I made a friend because I pointed out to her that she was gay, and she said, well, don't let anybody know. You don't talk openly. I said, no, I don't have a problem with that. And we became very good friends, and we're friends till this day. But it has always been a side of me that I wanted to develop, and I wanted to take it down a road where it was not only for my own personal gratification or personal edification, but also something I could take and develop and edify others.
Yeah.
give that education to others, give that that history and that experience that you have, share it with others so that people could take it and they could develop themselves. So while I was doing this, I said, well, wait a minute, Trinidad is such a close-knit society that, you know, takes sex to be either a joke or they really don't, they don't take it seriously as it should be taken. And it's something that is a taboo subject. How do I do it? That's when I gave myself the mandate that I will change the way Trinidad and Tobago view sex and also the wider Caribbean. Because by extension, the wider Caribbean do follow some of the things that we do here. So if we as a people were creating calypso, soca, and chutney music, which has an underlying sexual tone, and it was accepted throughout the Caribbean and the Trinidad diaspora throughout the world, why not sex education? That was my thinking. So as the years went by, I qualified myself. I made sure I got my master's, and from there I went and do my PhD. So I made sure that I was properly well educated. Even when I started on radio, I didn't have my PhD yet, you know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And because when people will call me and call me doctor, I'll say, no, I'm not a doctor. I don't have a PhD, I don't have a medical degree, so please don't call me that. I will give advice, and for me to be on the air going into our 19th year, to last that long, shows that all the information I've been given is truthful and accurate information. And I challenge anyone out there that if you think my information is false, if you think that the things that I put out there is for my own personal benefit, challenge me. And if you are right, I come off the air. I could make that boast anytime, you know. And ever since I've come on the air, I have put out that challenge out there. If anyone thinks that they have more information, or more, maybe the information I put out is not the right information, come. Bring it. Show me where I went wrong. I'll apologize and I come off the air. So when people question me, I want them to know who they're dealing with in terms of my education. But my education didn't only come from books, you know. I did the practical things of everything that I talk about.
Yeah.
And I've had that experience that no one else could say they had and share it with the world. And that's what I've been doing for the last 18, going on 19 years. Sharing it with the world, whether it be on radio or television. I've been doing that, or articles that I've written for newspapers, countless newspapers and whatnot. It's information that I have within me. It's in my heart and it's in my mind. So that's why I don't need to go into a book to get answers for anything. Sometimes when a patient sits in front of me and the person is telling me something, you would not believe. My brain goes into a kind of trance and the answer comes up. The answer comes up. While I'm listening to the person, the answer comes up for the person. I know exactly what to do, even without diagnosis. Prognosis and diagnosis. It's amazing, but I don't jump at it. I take down the information that is coming in my brain and I ask the person to do certain things to confirm what I am feeling or what I'm sensing. And when it is confirmed, then I know exactly what steps to take. Sometimes it's challenging. I have a lot of challenges with a lot of patients. Today I met a very challenging patient. She has a serious problem. And despite the fact that she's been to many doctors and whatnot, I have to deal with it. But it's sexually based. And it may be also something that is intertwined with spirituality. And I'm not talking about good spirituality, I'm talking about bad spirituality. Wow. Evilness that people do. And I come across that a lot. So like everything else, no matter what religion you belong to, there's good and bad. No matter what faith you have, there's good and bad. No matter what you may think, even if you don't believe, there's good and bad. And I challenge anyone on that. No one can tell me there's no good or there's no bad. Because for good to exist, you must have bad, and for bad to exist, you must have good. So in many things that you come across, sometimes there is an element of black magic, an element of obia, some kind of thing that was done to someone. That is possible. There's always these things. So You have to take that into consideration. And part of being a sexologist based on a PhD is that you could actually look at those things, the occult. A medical doctor will not look at that. He will dismiss that because his mind is not trained to look at that. A medical doctor will not take those things into consideration, you know.
No.
A UFO could come and land in front of a medical doctor. An alien could come out of that thing, and if his mind and his training tell him that those things doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. They are not allowed to. And that's the difference. I don't want to make it sound so superficial, but I'm just using that as an example to drive home the point. But the fact of the matter is, when you tell a medical doctor about black magic or obia or something of the occult nature, they dismiss that.
But let me ask you, if someone is suffering or experiencing something that is sexual, and can a doctor give them a prescription to cure?
They may give them you could give them a prescription for anything. It may not cure their problem. And that's what I'm getting at. I'm getting at why my clinic is so successful, why my program on the air has been so successful, why I know what I'm doing. When, like, for example, I had another patient today who came, a first-time patient, who went to a doctor, and the doctor diagnosed him, and I told him, I said, some of the diagnosis is proper and accurate, but the treatment is wrong. And he said, I kind of realized that. They're not trained to treat people the way we treat people.
With a sexual dysfunction.
Sexual dysfunction. We deal with sexual dysfunction among male and female, and the couple as a unit. Now, let me explain that. You know, you could have a perfectly normal sexual life, and your wife could have a perfectly normal sexual life, but both all you get together, all you can have sex. Do you know that?
I never thought about it at that level.
Well, I'm telling you. There are many couples out there who have a perfectly all right libido. But when both of them get together to have sex, they cannot have sex. The man will lose his erection, the woman is very dry, sexual intercourse is painful, or it's laborious. So, it is possible, the unit of marriage, there is no sex and sexuality within that. But the individual, the man, when he go with the outside woman or you like with your friends and he see a sexy one, he want to have sex. He has a good libido. He masturbates normal. The woman, same thing. She gets horny, she gets wet, she could play with herself. If she have an outside man, the same thing. But with her husband, she cannot.
Well, taking return, it's now 29 minutes after 7 o'clock. You are listening to Sexplosion on Power 102.1 FM with Dr. Raj who treats all sexual dysfunctions in both male and female. We'll take a break and we'll be right back with you. Stay tuned.
The greatest and safest pet in Carnival is coming. Coming.
You know. I know.
Friday, 22nd February 2019. Soca Capital, Queens Park, Savannah. My Fat, Your Fat, Army Fat. Still the safest pet in Carnival.
And then
Power 102 FM,
Moon Champions 94
and Rampart.
present Think Twice.
Think twice.
We celebrate life and promote safety on the nation's roads.
Think twice on the roads, in your cars, for our pedestrians and cyclists.
Think twice before you drive, act, and go about your daily lives.
Every life is precious, and we must each do our part to preserve lives on the roads of Trinidad and Tobago.
Think twice.
Every day, we give you life-saving tips and advice on how you can safely use our roads and highways in Trinidad and Tobago. We also invite you to download this safety app, which you can use to share messages and information in your very own private networks between family and friends and co-workers, all to keep each other safer.
Think twice.
Brought to you by the Vehicle Management Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago Limited, VEMCOT, in association with Arrival Live and the TTPS, the Galette Group of Companies in Computers and Controls.
Think twice.
Think twice.
Safety for you and your family.
Think twice.
And a safer Trinidad and Tobago.
Sexplosion is on Power 102, and now on new days and at new times. The country's most informative sex education program, Sexplosion, is on every Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. and Fridays from 9 p.m. to midnight with Dr. Raj, the guru of sex in the Caribbean.
A lot of times we think that sex is totally below the waist. It is not below the waist. It starts in the brain. Your largest sex organ that you possess is your brain.
Tune in for discussion on all sexual matters. Sexplosion on Power 102, empowering you.
Well, I can tell you that nobody does better what we do best when it comes to sex education, right here on Power 2.1 FM. May I remind you that this program may contain material that is not suitable for children. Parental guidance are there for advice. Now, here is where we give you the opportunity to interact with Dr. Raj. All you've got to do is give him a call at 222-8255, also at 612-8255. For those of you who would love to send him a WhatsApp or a text message, you can also do that on his private mobile, 740-1961. You can also send in your messages on our website at Power 102 FM. Yeah.
When I came back from studies, 1984, my first aim was to open a gym. That was first and foremost in my brain. The gym I used to go to was called Apollo Gym and Fitness Center in Davie, Florida. And I told the guy, I said, one day I'll buy your gym, you know. And he said, yeah, you'll come on your flying carpet and you'll fly away with the gym. I said, yeah, one of these days you'll see. And as the good Lord will have it, you know, when you put something positive out in the world, it comes back to you. Put it out in the universe, it comes back to you. So one day I walked into the gym and I said, his name was Jim. The guy who owned the gym, his name was Jim. I said, Jim, how much would you sell me this gym for? And he called a figure. I don't know if he called it out of frustration or if he called it out of, that was the figure that was playing around in his head at the time. And I said, could you put it in writing? Just write it down for me. So he wrote the figure down and I went to the bank and I came back with a check. And I handed it to him. So he said, what is this for? I said, I just bought your gym. I said, what? I said, I just bought your gym. That's the price you were asking for. It's in the check. But he said the check is made out for more than what he said. I said, yeah, that's for you to pack the gym, put it in a container and come to Trinidad with it. And he looked at me kind of crazy. I said, remember you was telling me about the flying carpet? I said, you'll be flying to Trinidad to set it up.
So, the original idea about the gym was based in Florida?
No. That started when I was 11 years of age. Also, yeah. Because I used to watch the guys training. I used to go by Bengo Changing Range Grandi, watch the guys training, do a little training and thing, and I always love it. So it was two parallel things I was thinking about. So I came back, I set up the gym at Trin City Mall. It was the most successful gym ever in Trinidad.
I could recall.
We won every competition in the world. I created some of the best bodybuilders in this country, including Darren Charles, from scratch. And after the coup and business started to get bad and recession set in and all those things, I got out of that business. Not in the best way, but I got out of it and had heavy losses. And I never looked back. But while I had the gym, I used to advise people on things of a sexual nature also. But all through that time, I was always dealing with sex, you know. I never stopped.
You never?
Never. ever, 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 ever. While I was in university, I will always be giving advice. When I was in high school, I used to write papers and sell it on how to prevent premature ejaculation and all those things. I continued into university, and outside of university, after I got married and opened the gym and whatnot, always continue with
But
it.
let me ask you, what gave you that drive at that tender age?
I don't know.
To think about, you know.
It was just an inspiration that I had. I guess it came from the good Lord.
Yeah.
It couldn't come from anywhere else. You know, some people, I'm a Hindu, we don't believe in the devil. We know about karma. We know about destiny, what you're born to do. I believe I was born to do this. And it came to my realization when I was 11 years, 4 months old. So the vision was always there. And you see, if you have a vision in your head and you put it to the forefront, you'll always accomplish, you know. But if you have a vision and you throw it in the background, you cannot accomplish. How would you accomplish it? It's like you have something of value and you take it and you throw it in a drawer and it goes to the back of the drawer. There's no value to you. And that's serious. And if you have a block of gold or a diamond,
Yeah.
and you take that diamond and throw it in a drawer, and it goes to the back of the drawer, and after a while, opening the drawer, closing the drawer, opening the drawer, closing the drawer, you forget about that. It has no value to you. That's why if you own a piece of jewelry and you could wear it. Because then it has value to you. I'm not talking about the financial value, and I'm talking about the value of it.
Of wearing.
Or the value of having a shirt. A shirt in a wardrobe has no value. A shirt on you has more value.
Yeah.
Always remember that. So the things that you put to the forefront of your mind and you work to accomplish has value to you. If you throw it in the background and say, I go deal with that some other time, it has no value to you. It's there, it's occupying space. All that block of gold or diamond that you have in the drawer is doing is occupying space. It has absolutely no value to you. Because if that ring come and lost, you might even forget you had that ring. So it lost and you forget about that. So what value have you lost? Nothing.
Yeah.
If you have the ring on you and the ring comes out and you go in the washroom and the ring comes out in the washroom and you go out and say, oh God, my ring missing, and it has value?
Well, of course, yes.
Well, right. That's what I'm talking about. So anything you put in the background and you throw aside has no value to you. Absolutely none. Absolutely none. So no matter what stage I was in my life and what I was doing, it always had value to me because that is what I wanted to accomplish. So I was pushing towards that. No matter what I did. And I tried other things. I said, okay, let me take my career path and take it along the lines of accounting. I have an accounting degree. I have very good marks, high up in it and whatnot. Let me do that. Went to get a job. First job offer. When they told me my salary, I look at them and laugh. I said, I just spend that in a week. I said, I spend that in a week. I was a partner in my parents' business. I wasn't just working for my parents, I was a partner in my parents' business.
So you was business-minded?
All the time. I was made a partner in my parents' business in 1976. Think about it, 1976. I was a partner in the business. I was never an employee in the business. I was a part owner. So I always knew the value of business and the value of doing things. So when I was working in the store, it wasn't like I was working for my parents. I was working for me. When I opened other businesses and whatnot, right? I got the backings of my parents. Some failed. Like everything else, if you don't know what failure is, you cannot know what success is.
So at an early age, what you did was basically laid the foundation.
I laid the foundation for who I am today.
Yeah.
And I continue with that foundation. So that's what I'm telling you. No matter what you have. I know a guy, and this is a well-known story for those who know it, who had a piece of silver, a chunk of silver, not a piece, a chunk of silver that he used to use as a paperweight and eventually as a doorstop, Never knew the value of it. Never knew what that was. Until somebody saw it one day and lifted it and said, wait a minute, this thing is too heavy for the mass, for the size. If you lift gold, you ever lift a bar of gold, a kilogram of gold and feel how heavy that is? It feels heavier than a kilogram of anything else, but it's the same kilogram because it's a small, the mass is heavier. The mass, the size.
Yeah.
So it's heavy, it feels this little thing heavy so way, and all this, but it's the same weight. All this weighing a kilogram and this little thing weighing a kilogram. So your brain starts to think, and the person who knew about metals and whatnot say, well, this is, the mass of this thing is too heavy. It has to be valuable. And he took a piece and scraped off some and went and get it tested, and it was pure silver.
Anyway, folks, taking your time, it's now 18 minutes before 8 o'clock. Nobody does better what we do best when it comes to sex education. Right here on Power 2.1 FM with the only sexologist, Dr. Raj of Total Lineage and the Adult Therapy Center. Just to remind you once again, our lines are open for those of you who would love to interact with him live in studio. 222-8255, also at 612-8255. Once again, for those of you who might be a bit shy to hear your voice on radio, what you can do is send him a WhatsApp or a text message on his private mobile 740-1961. You're listening to a program that's informative, educational, and of course entertaining, exclusively on Power 102 FM.
So that's what I set my mind to do. I was focused. I always kept it to the forefront. I remember when I opened the first sex shop on Arpita Avenue called Behind the Green Doors. The first sex shop in Trinidad was called Behind the Green Doors. And the name was based on a movie. When you step behind the green doors, you could get anything that you desire.
I could recall that movie.
Right. So that's why I named it Behind the Green Doors. The door was actually green. It was right opposite Vinimaj on Arpita Avenue. And that was the first sex shop, but I used to do counseling to a lot of people on sexual matters. So thereby my clinic started there and then.
We'll tell you what we are going to do is go to the lines. Hello and welcome to Sexplosion. Good evening. Hello.
I've been listening to you since the program started, Dr. Raj, and family asked you a question as to, I can't remember what the question was, but it was all about how you happened to think about.
Yeah. Well, he asked, what inspired me?
I did not hear an answer that satisfied me. I will ask the question. What inspired you to think about sex at the age of 11 years and 4 months?
That's what I answered, and I think it was just a feeling that I had, something that came to me that I need to study this.
But before it came to you, you had to see something or pay attention to something to really get that inspiration. From my point of view, am I wrong?
I maybe you are right, but nothing came to me or nothing. Okay.
No.
I don't mean
is at the age 11 years and 4 months, you had to hear about sex, see it for some form of the foul.
Well, I always knew that I knew.
You had to see something to get that inspiration. From my point of view.
Well, yeah. Well, it has to be something that jogged me into it. You're right.
That is what I mean.
Yes.
This is the
I think it was. I think I got my hand on the book called The Happy Hooker.
Okay.
And the Kama Sutra. Those are the two things.
I am not satisfied about the answer.
Those.
I listen to you occasionally, but I'm a very advanced in age, and so sometimes it interests me and sometimes it don't. But you always speak with a lot of rationale. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Well, thanks a lot for calling.
Maybe it was coming into contact with those two books, The Happy Hooker and the Kama Sutra, at the same time. And that's the funny thing about it. One is extremely sexual, based on sexual experience of this woman who was a hooker, and the other was very spiritual, dealing with sex. And what amazes me to this day is that I came into contact with those two books at the same time. At the same time. One I read and didn't understand a single thing that I read. Because the Kama Sutra is not about positions. There's just 5 or 6 pages about positions in the Kama Sutra. Kama Sutra is the instructions of love or love making. Right? The Happy Hooker is everything about sex. Maybe that is what jogged me. Maybe that is what pushed me towards the inspiration, but that's where it is.
That's where it all started.
Yeah.
Okay, we go back to the lines. Hello and welcome to Sexplosion. Good evening.
Hello, good night to everyone.
Good evening.
Good night, Dr. Raj. I just want to ask you a question, Dr. Raj, right? I have a problem, right?
Yeah?
I don't know, I was reading up on it, and it says that it's neat. But sometimes I don't feel to have sex every day.
Well, you're supposed to feel to have sex every day. Nothing wrong with that.
But I thought it was something bad.
But sexual feeling is part of human development. It all has to do with your hormone levels, and it all has to do with your age and your process. Feeling to have sex and having sex is two different things, you know. You're aware of that, right?
I went to a counselor on work, right? And when I told the counselor my problem, she said she afraid of me.
Well, then that is not a counselor. She should fire the job and go home. She's not properly trained. No, but she's not properly trained. We supposed to, okay, why do you wake up with a morning erection every day if you have good testosterone?
Yeah.
It's natural.
Yeah.
So if somebody tells you something like that, they're not trained, she should be fired.
Yeah. That's the
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot for calling. You're listening to Sexplosion on Power 102.1 FM with Dr. Raj. Reminding you once again, our lines are open. If you would love to interact with him via the telephone, feel free. Give him a call at 222-8255. Also at 612-8255. If you do decide that you want to send him a WhatsApp or a text message, you can also do that on his private mobile 740-1961. May I remind you once again that this program may contain material that is not suitable for children. Parental guidance are therefore advised. Yeah.
I'm very practical, you know. When somebody asks a question, I give them the correct answer, you know. Who don't like it, they don't like it. That's their business. I don't care. When somebody asks me a question, they expect to get a correct answer. I mean, if you're fooling around and you're playing the fool. But it's like when you come to the clinic and I ask you a question like, how often do you have sex? Most men, they say, I want to have sex every day. I say, that's not the question I ask you. Everybody wants to have sex every day. Sex is a wonderful thing. But it's how often do you have sex?
Yeah.
And then they'll boil on like Baji and they'll tell you, well, once a month, once every 2 weeks, once a week or twice a week. Whatever the answer is. But most persons want to answer the question in such a way that they feel that they could throw you off or make you uncomfortable. But there's nothing anyone could tell me that will make me uncomfortable when it comes to sexual questions. There's no question somebody could ask me that will put me in a corner and I can't answer. I have a comeback. According to my mother, I have a plaster for every sore. And this is when I was a teenager. Because anything you ask me, I had an answer for it. I would read a lot. That's why I could carry on a conversation about politics, international politics, things of the world, medicine, food, cigar, drugs, cigarette. I wrote papers about cigarette and alcohol and things. In my first year at university, I wrote papers about those things. Because I studied it. Travel. I have a book where my sister gave me once, 100 places to visit before you die. I've done about half of it already. I travel a lot. But traveling also opens up your mind. That's why I tell people, if you have the opportunity, do it. Does not matter where you travel to travel, but don't travel and stay in a luxurious hotel and sit down your tail in a resort and think that you're traveling. That is not traveling. Going to a resort is not traveling, you know.
Well, a lot of people think along those lines.
No, it's not. That relaxation. And you could go anywhere to a resort. You could go to a resort in Trinidad, you could go Mayaro and you could carry everything and put it in your room and go out in the sea and that's your own resort. And you don't see anything of Mayaro. Don't you stop by the corner and buy a roast corn? But if you stop by the corner and buy a roast corn and listen to the old talk and you drive up the road and you go and have a beer in the bar, I seen Mayaro. There's a difference.
Yeah, there's a big difference there, right?
Yeah, but getting back to understanding, no, I don't have the answer to life. I don't have the answer to a vision. I don't have the answer to the drive of individuals. I know what drives me. I know what my vision is. I know what I want to accomplish in life. I am a very contented person. I don't need anything. There's very few things that I want. Very, very few things that I want. I guess I want happiness all the time. I like to travel, so I want to travel. Basically, those are the things. I will, of course, have a good family. I always want to keep my family strong, the unit strong. I work very hard at that, in the sense that, you know, I make it a point to touch base and all those kind of little things. Even friends. I like good friends. I have a lot of good friends. I have genuine friends. And it's something that I cherish. So I don't need anything.
Well, I can tell you that you are making radio an experience by itself when you are on the inside of Sexplosion on Power 102.1 FM. Well, thinking our time, it's now 8 minutes before 8 o'clock. We'll take a break and we'll be right back with you. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Carnival 2019 on Main Stage Power 102, celebrating the Masters.
I do things that last a long time.
Get an early start to the festivities, a celebration of Trinbagonian culture. Come and enjoy the sweet enticing sound of pan, calypso, and the best of Carnival 2019. The party season is here. Celebrating the Masters, playing now on Power 102.
I knew I had to be on stage. I felt this is the place.
Celebrating the Masters, here on Power 102, with ticket giveaways to some of your favorite carnival shows and fats. Interesting historical features like origins of the mass, folktales, fables, and legends, characters of carnival. And to keep you updated and in the know, our Carnival Calendar 2019, along with so much more. We'll carry live coverage of your favorite carnival events. Celebrating the Masters. Playing now on Power 102.
Power 102, empowering you.
This carnival. Power 102 FM.
Boom Champions 94
and Vemcott
present Think Twice.
Think Twice.
We celebrate life and promote safety on the nation's roads.
Think twice on the roads, in your cars, for our pedestrians and cyclists.
Think twice before you drive, act, and go about your daily lives.
Every life is precious, and we must each do our part to preserve lives on the roads of Trinidad and Tobago.
Think twice.
Every day, we give you life-saving tips and advice on how you can safely use our roads and highways in Trinidad and Tobago. We also invite you to download this safety app, which you can use to share messages and information
I hear you.
in your very own private networks between family and friends and co-workers, all to keep each other safer.
Think twice.
Brought to you by the Vehicle Management Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago Limited, VEMCOT, in association with Arrive Alive and the TTPS, the Galette Group of Companies in Computers and Controls.
Think twice.
Think twice.
Safety for you and your family.
Think twice.
And a safer Trinidad and Tobago.
Sexplosion is on Power 102.
I hear you.
And now on new days and at new times. The country's most informative sex education program, Sexplosion, is on every Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. and Fridays from 9 p.m.
You sure
to
about that,
midnight
right?
with Dr. Raj.
You sure about that, right?
The guru of sex in the Caribbean.
A lot of times we think that sex is totally below the waist. It is not below the waist. It starts in the brain. Your largest sex organ that you possess is your brain.
Tune in for discussion on all sexual matters. Sexplosion on Power 102, empowering you.
Well, I can tell you it's all about bringing radio back to the people when it comes to sex education. You are listening to the magic of sex education with Dr. Raj right here on Power 102.1 FM. Don't forget our lines are open. If you would love to interact with him via the telephone, feel free at 222-8255, also at 612-8255. If you do decide that you want to send him a WhatsApp, a question or so, you can also do that on his private mobile at 740-1961. Also, you can send in your messages on our website at Power 102 FM. Yeah.
So where was I? I'm lost. I can't remember where I was.
Maybe speaking in terms of the background of your education. And,
Get him back there.
Yeah.
That is very vague.
No, that's very important.
That's very vague, but you're supposed to get me on point.
Yeah, that's
Well,
because you have a lot of people on the outside, eh?
Anyway, the question that was asked about what truly inspired me, The inspiration came from within. I guess what triggered it off was reading those 2 books, being totally confused and then being totally entertained, and marrying both of them together. On my 3rd read of the Kama Sutra, I started to understand what it was all about. My research continued. I started the business on Arapita Avenue. The business developed. While the business was developing, a lot of people used to come to me to write programs for them because they knew I was tied in with the gym, but also wanted to help me with their sexual life. And that's how the clinic was born. The clinic was born out of the need of people, you know. The clinic was not born out of me wanting to open a clinic. And that's the amazing thing about it. Because I used to sell adult toys out of the trunk of my car, and also had the first adult store on Arapita. When I go to sell toys, it will be a get-together. You know. It will be a gathering of people. And we will sit and talk and discuss certain things. And they were always amazed at my knowledge about things of a sexual nature. It wasn't just, I go to sell you a book.
So what it was about, like, for instance, like you have what people do nowadays. You get a couple of friends together and you tell yourself, well, look, we're going to be dealing with an adult toys, or the selling of adult toys. And that's all.
Well, I never used to do it. Somebody would do it, and they'll invite me to come over. Like Santa Cruz, St. Joseph, Westmoreland, Sangre Grande, Arima. I had one friend in Chaguanas. He used to do it at his business place. I had a couple in San Fernando. They used to do the same thing.
But would it be fair to say that due to that gave you the drive of opening a clinic?
Well, that's what I'm telling you. It was born out of the needs of people. I didn't say I'm going to open a clinic and invite people to come to the clinic. The clinic was born out of the need of persons asking me questions and I finding a solution for them. So that's what I'm telling you. The terminology sexologist was not born as yet when I started doing sexologist work. So that inspired me to continue with my education. It inspired me to do other things. And in the turn of the millennium, when the whole world thought they were going to be at a standstill come 1999 into 2000, I was already embarking on propelling that part of my life. So from Arapita Avenue, we moved to Tragrit Road. From Tragrit Road, we moved to Bengal Street in St. James. And from there, we moved to St. Augustine. So the adult store was moving as I was moving.
Okay, it was
and then I came on Power 102. I got the opportunity through Devan Maharaj. And I don't care what anybody say about Devan Maharaj, you know, but Devan Maharaj is instrumental in making me who I am today. And I'm very proud of that fact. Without him knowing me, you know, we weren't friends. He knew of me, but he didn't know me.
So the program was born through
him. He came to Marcel Mahabe and told him, why don't you get this guy on the radio? And that's how it was born. And I don't know how he knew about me. I never even asked him that. Up to now, we are very good friends now. But I never asked him how he knew about me before. Never. Stranger. And he, after asking telling Marcel Mahabe that I was approached by Melissa Sohan to advertise on a sex program on this station. And I asked a simple question, who is going to host the program? And when she asked me, why? I said, because people make a joke out of sex, and sex is not a joke.
Yes, people, as a matter
sex
of
is
fact,
a very serious thing, you know.
As a matter of fact, they still do it.
Well, the immature mind, the narrow-minded individuals in our society giggle and laugh when they use the word sex, you know. And you know who they are. For time they use the word sex, it's hee, like a little girl. And I'm talking about men, eh?
As a matter of fact, even when someone goes into a drugstore to buy condoms, you still get that.
I don't know if that still happens, but I know it used to happen in my days. So I used to walk in a drugstore. I mean, I never used to go with Mr. Kuban because he was friends with my father. I never used to go at, at Pioneer Pharmacy. I never used to go by Danbury because Danbury was my family. And I had to find a place to go. So I used to go by Vernon Drugstore, ask for a condom. He and my father had no friend. So he going and tell my father that this boy coming up by condom. But I was proud of the fact that I could go and buy condom and make use of it. I sure those who selling it wasn't making use of it as much as I was. Take a call.
Okay, we're going to go back to the lines. Hello and welcome to Sexplosion. Good evening.
Good afternoon, Dr. Raj.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Yeah, hey family.
I would like to have enlightenment on the subject of a woman with cysts. You know, some woman was talking to me about it, and I told them I'm going to call tonight and ask you to.
I will definitely deal with that. Make a note of that. CYST. CYST. Yes, I will deal with that as we go along.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. And a person asked me a question about when I'm opening the clinic in Davie. So I'm going to commit myself to a date. The 5th of February, which is the first Tuesday in February, I'm going to open the clinic in Davie. So for those of you who are listening, those of you who want to make an appointment, 5th of February, make your appointment from now. I am opening the clinic in Davie. Come hell or high waters.
Great.
Come hell or high waters, I'm opening the clinic in Davie on the 5th of February.
5th.
I am committing myself to that date. Yeah. I will be there from about 11 to maybe 3 to see persons. So those of you who want to, just call the number in Davie, or you could call any one of the numbers to make an appointment for the Davie clinic on the 5th of February. The first day I'll be, and that just came to my head now. I didn't plan that. Because up to this week, somebody asked me that question. I said, I don't know when.
But a lot of people will welcome that. You know.
Well, I'm giving you a date now. So let me put it on my phone. I have to do that because next,
Well, I can tell you that we are giving our listeners what they want and expect from a good radio program when it comes to sex education with Dr. Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center located in St. Augustine. Folks, don't forget our lines are open if you would love to interact with him via the telephone. Feel free. 222-8255, also at 612-8255. I can tell you, nobody does better what we do best when it comes to sex education, exclusively on Power 102 FM.
And perfect date, that's my mother's birthday.
On the 5th of February.
5th of February.
So that's a
and you can call 366-5843, 366-5843 and make your appointment. Speak to any one of the girls there. Just tell them Dr. Raj says he's opening the clinic on the 5th of February. You heard it first. I haven't even, it just came to me. I have not even told my staff this. Nobody knows this. So if anybody's listening from Total Image or any one of the places, 5th of February is my first official day of my clinic in Davie. I'm committing to that.
Nice.
I put it to the forefront now. It's no longer in the back of the drawer.
And as you rightfully mentioned, it's a date that you
I can't forget. It's my mother's birthday. Right. How could I forget?
No, you can't forget that.
So, getting back to the transition. So, the clinic was not born out of the fact that I wanted to open a clinic. As a matter of fact, I was never thinking along those lines. Yeah. I used to write program and I used to help people out and tell them what to get, what to go and buy in the herbal shop, what to get, to use, to help them with their sex life and whatnot. And I realized that, hey, wait a minute. Maybe I should do something about this in a professional way, which I did. And I continued my education. I educated myself, and here I am today. Yeah. I came on radio, and like I said.
Well, what we are going to do is go back to the lines. Hello, and welcome to Sexplosion. Good evening. Hello, good evening.
Yeah.
Yes, we are hearing you.
When would you be coming to Tobago?
I can't answer that. And the reason I cannot answer that is right now I'm in negotiation with someone to do a store in Tobago. When that is done, then I'll be coming to Tobago. I had a clinic in Tobago at Rovanels, But Tobago culture is much different to Trinidad culture. People don't like to go. But I had a clinic at Rovanels for 5 years. Yeah. So don't feel I abandoned Tobago, It's just that I wasn't getting the support from Tobagonians. Okay? But I will come back. I have no problem in coming back. All right, sir?
All right.
Well, thanks a lot for calling. Don't forget our lines are open if you would love to interact with Dr. Raj at 222-8255, also at 612-8255. May I remind you once again that this program may contain material that is not suitable for children. Parental guidance are therefore advised. Yeah.
And once I get the clinic going, I would be there every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
So it will either be a Tuesday or Thursday. Tuesday or Thursday. Until, if it picks up more than that, well, then it will be longer. So, like I said 11 to 3. I'm putting it on my phone, you know. While we're speaking, I'm putting it on my phone to make sure that it's there. Because I don't want to...
Well, folks, taking our time, it's now 8 minutes after 8 o'clock. You are on the inside of Sexplosion on this Thursday evening with the only sexologist in the Caribbean, Dr. Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center. That's located in St. Augustine. Lines are open if you would love to interact with him. Maybe something is on your mind that is sexual, that you always wanted to get an answer to. Well, I can tell you, here is the forum for it, right here. Sexplosion with Dr. Raj. Feel free to interact with him via the telephone by simply giving him a call at 222-8255, also at 612-8255.
And Junior Izzy said, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
I don't know why, but she just said, tell
Beautiful,
Junior,
beautiful.
Good evening for me.
Good evening, family.
And that just came out of the blues.
Out of the blues?
Wow.
Nice.
So I found that a lot of women were asking questions about their bodies, their sexual feelings, the things that they needed to complement themselves and their partner. The men wouldn't ask as much question. The men were always... Although there were a lot of men I was doing business with and whatnot, but they always wanted to project this macho image. So they will never ask question about their inability to have a long relationship or sexual relationship, meaning that they ejaculated quickly and whatnot. And it was always about the woman. When I started the clinic, and I started the clinic on Arapita Avenue, I want to make that very clear. This clinic that I have now, the adult therapy clinic, started on Arapita Avenue.
But let me ask you, when you're speaking in terms of clients, women are more out with their problems when you compare to the guys?
It used to be that way, but not anymore. A lot of men are coming forward now. For whatever reason, they trust. Well, one of the most important things of being a sexologist is trust factor. You know? People must trust you, you know. And one thing I could say in a boastful way, but I'm not boasting, is I deal with sex in all form and fashion, but you've never heard my name in controversy. I have never been in any controversy.
That's important, yeah. And you're very proud of that.
Very proud. I'm very proud of that fact, and it's something that I guard, you know, very close to my chest. I have never been involved in controversy, as you see people being involved in all kind of controversy. People get into politics and get involved in controversy, sexual controversies and whatnot. I have never been involved in any sexual controversies. I mean, I've been involved in fighting the customs. That is not controversy. That is me doing what I have to do.
And that's fighting for your
But I'm talking
rights.
about controversies, like anybody making false accusations and whatnot.
never
Because I am
again.
myself well protected, you know. I don't make skylark with that. I don't visit people home and those kind of things. So nobody can make any accusations like that.
But I know for a fact they have a lot of people, and we have discussed that in the past programs, that imitate you. People go to...
Well, that's the sincerest form of flattery when somebody tries to imitate you.
Because in the past, I heard a couple of people calling saying that, hey, look, Dr. Raj, you visited my house, and the answer that you gave them is to take a pic of them to...
Yeah, if somebody say I visited you privately. I mean, if you and I going down the road and we stop off by somebody because he's a fan of the program, that's different. But I'm not going to visit anybody's house in my professional capacity. Never. No way. I mean, we have gone places where people cook for us.
Yeah.
Right? We go and we eat, we line with them. You and I have done that in the past, so that's not a strange thing. But I wouldn't go and visit somebody home in my professional capacity. I used to do that when I was doing sales out of the trunk of my car. But I'm talking about presently.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. I don't, here's that. I have had persons come to me with serious sexual dysfunction, I deal with them, you know, and I tell them, don't worry about the money aspect of it, you know. Let's deal with your issue.
Well, I know the individual that you are, you know, because I know a couple of people, you had treated people in the past and they took a break and they came back. And, I mean, you really took care of them.
Yeah, and not only that, I help out a lot of people. I don't talk about that. Let me just, I don't even want to mention that. I've given scholarship on this program, 70-something scholarship, put students through school, financial scholarship and other things. It's what I do, and I didn't stop after I stopped giving scholarship on this program, you know. I continued way after that. There are lots of persons that have helped, but it's what I do. But let's not talk about that, but let's get back to the professional part. As I went along, I also educated myself and raised the bar. So I always keep abreast of what's happening. So to answer some of the questions that persons have, we treat erectile dysfunction, sexual dysfunction, premature ejaculation, retrograde ejaculation, inability to get an erection, low libido, low testosterone, prostate problems, anything to do with your sexual function as a man, mental, physical, or otherwise, we treat it at the Adult Therapy Center in St. Augustine. Right? We have pioneering efforts and pioneering things that I've done. My program that I used to write for students, and listen to this, my program that I used to write for students in 1976 is the same program I use now to treat people with erectile dysfunction, with premature ejaculation. Same program. And I used to sell that copybook page, the middle page, I used to write it, tear it out and sell it for $5. In 1976.
Pretty long.
And the very same program I use today. No adjustment, no change. Because it's something I came up with. Today I was telling somebody about the program. The person came and wanted to start the program. And when I started to explain, the person said, yeah, no, I just do that. I said, let me finish. And when I finished, he was like, okay, that is not what I read. I said, you'll never read this anyway. This is my program. This is my program. This is what I have invented. And I'm not going to put it on the internet.
So they have to see you.
Of course. So we treat women also. Painful intercourse, dry vagina, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which the gentleman wants me to talk about. I'll talk about it in a while. Endometriosis, low libido, inability to have an orgasm, inability to have sex, and all sexual dysfunction in women. We treat that. And combining both, we treat couples for everything. Compatibility issue.
So if a couple is experiencing problems with sex, you treat them
we treat them individually and together. Of course. So one of the things that we're doing, and as I tell you, I upgrade myself all the time. You know, one of the things that is very important for a good erection is something called nitric oxide. And a lot of people have read about nitric oxide. Now we have a treatment that includes the nitric oxide treatment in it. And that only came about after the last medical conference I went to in Las Vegas last month. Now we have the things to treat that. So for the gentlemen out there who don't consume the things that are going to raise your nitric oxide, and you have low testosterone, the first thing you need to do is to raise your nitric oxide. Once you start raising your nitric oxide, you have an improvement in your sex life. So for those, let's say for those who have borderline low testosterone, and you start raising your nitric oxide, we have that, we start doing that. We have the test, we have the test strip, we have the treatment, we have the protocol. The protocol is what I beat people with, you know. They don't have the protocol, the way to use certain things.
They might hear about it, but
they might hear about it and say, well, I go and buy this tablet and I'm going to use it.
But they don't know how to use it.
Nope. That's why I beat them.
Well, I can tell you that you are listening to a program that's informative, educational, and of course, entertaining right here on Power 102.1 FM with Dr. Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center. located at St. Augustine. Folks, don't forget our lines are open. If you would love to interact with him via the telephone, feel free. 222-8255. Also at 612-8255. Nobody does better what we do best when it comes to sex education.
Dr. Raj, can having a hernia impede someone's sexual ability to have proper sex and to climax? My hernia doesn't hurt during sex. I am in my 50s. Yes, a hernia could impede your ability to have sex and the enjoyment of it. And for those of you in the Southland, there's no border, from Gasparillo to Point Fortin, Daycare Clinic is going to be open on the 5th of February. Make your appointment. So, a lot of women have what you call polycystic ovaries and polycystic ovarian syndrome. Women who have cysts in their womb. A cyst is normally formed when the eggs that are released outside of your period cycle are not reabsorbed by the body, and it forms a cyst. When you have a cyst, it is sucking the nutrients out of your body, sucking your ability for impregnation or development of the fetus. And a cyst has to be gotten rid of, because a cyst could also be cancerous. So you need to get rid of your cysts. I have partnered with a wonderful, wonderful woman, a woman who's in her 70s, who to me is very near and dear. When we became friends 20 years ago, she was doing formulas that I was using in my clinic. And I've been using her formulas ever since. And she created a formula for cysts that is melt cysts.
Melt?
Yeah, melt it away. You don't need to have any surgery done. And it's amazing. I will say 90% of the persons who have used it have had success. Now, of course, if you have a huge cyst that needs to be operated on, it will help, but it's not going to get rid of it, because a cyst, when it's attached to your body, will continue to grow. And that's what people have to understand. There are persons who have had cysts removed from their bodies and it's the size of a grapefruit.
Wow.
So it grows. It starts off as a microscopic unit that you cannot see with the naked eye, and grows into a huge mass, and that sucks the nutrients out of you. So a woman with polycystic ovaries, she can get pregnant, but she may not be able to carry her pregnancy, because you have a fetus that is vying for the nutrients of the mother, and you have a cyst that is there attached to the body. Then you have endometriosis. You have womb problems. A lot of women have womb problems, low womb, retrovated womb, and all those things. So we work with midwives to get that sorted out. We don't work in isolation, you know. A sexologist cannot work in isolation. If you come to me and your problem is related to high cholesterol and all other medical condition, I cannot tell you to stop your your medicine. You have to talk to your doctor, and I will work with your doctor with that. Although some doctors don't like me, but the majority do. As a matter of fact, I've treated doctors. I have treated doctors with sexual dysfunction in this country. Over 20 of them, you know. Over 20 doctors, you know, medical doctors, you know, with sexual dysfunction. That tells you the caliber of what I do. So, if you have a psychiatric problem, you feel I will pretend to be a psychiatrist and deal with you? No. I send you by a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist deals with you, and I also deal with you. When the psychiatrist is done, or together with the psychiatrist, the same thing with a person, let's say, for example, a person who has prostate problem. He will go to his medical doctor. He may even have to go through surgery, and I will deal with him. Well, of course, there are certain treatments you cannot do when you have prostate problem, and I will deal with you afterwards. So we work in conjunction with virologists, medical doctors, spiritualists. I've worked with many pundits and imam and priests, because some people have spiritual backlash that they need to work on. And I don't frown on those things, and I don't think that it is anything false or somebody's trying to set me up. I know these things exist. Good cannot exist without evil. So all these things I look at and deal with it in a holistic way. So my clinic is not only about you coming with your sexual dysfunction, I give you 2 tablets and say, go away. I take an interest in my in my clients.
Individual interest.
There's one guy who came today with all smiles. He said, you know, Dr. Raj, whenever I come with a smile, you know I'm not seeing the problems that I'm having. I said, I know that. And I know why the reason why you have the problem, because it's nerve related. So you need to do something for this. Your nerve problem started when you were a young man. Before you were a young man. Right? As a juvenile. You think it's going to go away with 2 or 3 treatments? And he said, I know that. He said, but I'll tell you, whenever I walk in that door with a smile on my face, it's because the nerves didn't knock up. So all these things we look at in a holistic way, and we try to give you the best possible treatment. Women who come and cannot have children. And I'll give you a story. When I got married in 1984, I knew my path and what I wanted to do, and I knew I wanted a child. But I also knew I was in an accident in 1983 that paralyzed me from my neck down. A lot of people don't know that. I was confined to a bed. And I heard the doctor telling another doctor that he will not walk. And determination in my wrath make me get off that bed in pain and move. And the doctor was in shock. He was in shock. And of course I pray. I'm a praying person. I believe in my Lord Shiva. And I did that. And I also took treatment from Dr. Larry Birch, one of the greatest men I ever come across in my life. But I had 99 x-rays done of my spine and my pelvic area.
Wow.
99 in a 1-year period of time. So I was fried.
More than fried.
And
but you're here today.
I am here today. Long story short, but I still want to add to the story. I met a wonderful gentleman named Dr. Malcolm Adams at UE. The office was at the General Hospital here in Port of Spain, and he taught me a lot. And he showed me a lot, and I was able to have a child. And it was part of my training. I get it was part of my education, because some of the things that he had to do, he said, you could do it on your own, man. I said, you sure? He said, yeah, I'll show you what to do. And I did it on my own. And I'm talking about some medical procedures. And I did it on my own, on myself. And here I am today with 2 children. 2 healthy children.
Beautiful children, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Because I know them personally.
Of course. You're the uncle. But it was all part of my training. That's the way I saw it. I never frowned upon the fact that it took me 4 years to have a child. I never used to panic. I just used to take my treatment. As a matter of fact, one doctor tried to rip me off. As a matter of fact, I think he was trying to build a house on me with my money.
Wow.
Because he never helped.
He just add to your problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, folks, taking our time, it's now 25 minutes after 8 o'clock. You are on the inside of Sexplosion on this Thursday evening with Dr. Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center located in St. Augustine. Our lines are open for those of you who would love to interact with him via the telephone. Feel free at 222-8255, also at 612-8255. You are listening to a program that's informative, educational, and of course entertaining, exclusively on Power 102 FM. Yeah.
So, in a nutshell, my clinic wasn't born out of the desire to open a clinic. It came out of the needs of individual. My history, my actual life made me who I am today. That's why when a person comes to me and says they cannot have a child, I go all out to make sure they have one. There was a gentleman, I'm not going to call names, I'm not going to do anything like that. His first try, well, any doctor he went to, he couldn't have a child. He and his wife couldn't have a child. And his father was my patient, and he said, why don't you go by Dr. Raj? He came to me 3 years ago, 2015. I started to treat him and said, it's going to take you a year. And in 1 year time, his wife got pregnant. But, of course, sometimes if the sperm is not strong and it does not do it what it's supposed to do, the wife had a miscarriage. He didn't lose heart. He came back by me. And he said, no, Dr. Raj, after my wife had a miscarriage, I said, don't worry about that. A miscarriage is because the fetus wasn't forming properly. That's a natural abortion by the body. I said, what you willing to do? You want to continue? He said, of course. And earlier this month, he said, I'm a father. Do you know how that makes me feel?
Well, it would make you feel special, you know, because...
I don't feel special.
No, but I could remember in the past, there was a couple of years ago, a woman called, and you treated her, that she couldn't have children. And she mentioned to us, I don't know if you remember, that she said that she was proud that she got some advice.
I feel
from
accomplished. The amount of children I was responsible for bringing into this world, I feel totally accomplished.
It would make you feel special.
Yeah. Because when I saw him posted that up, I am a dad today, tears came to my eyes. Told my wife, I said, you know this guy? You know, he comes to the clinic? She said, yes. I said, he has a child. He's a proud daddy today.
It would make you feel proud.
No, I told him, and I tell everyone who comes to me, I will do my part, but the spiritual part, you have to do it. If you belong to a church, make sure you go to the church and pray. If you belong to a mosque, make sure you get with the imam and pray. If you belong to a temple, talk to the pandit about the necessary puja that you have to do. Walk around the peepal tree as you're supposed to, because that is what is going to help you. When my beloved godfather, Guru, died, I lost that connection with the spiritual side, because he used to tell me, Raj, you do the medical part, and I will do the spiritual part. Send them by me.
The spiritual part
and you know, for his funeral, I saw some of my patients there, and I was like, how come you here? He said, forget you sent me by him, and he did the puja, and that's why we have a child today. I say, oh yes.
Yeah, the spiritual part is important. It must be included.
Of course.
It is a must.
Of course. Not you bring in a soul into this world, you know. People take pregnancy very lightly, you know. If you understand what it takes to bring a child into the world, the amount of karma or karmic powers that it takes to bring a child into this world, it's not an easy thing, you know. That's why people who want a child cannot have a child sometimes, you know. They may want it, but they're not destined to have it. Destiny plays an important part. And then somebody will rock back and say, well, why do so many women who can't even mind a child have so many children? That's their destiny also. That child that comes into the world either comes to fulfill something. Why it is you were born here, not in Haiti? Why it is you were born here, not in the middle of Scandinavia? There's a reason for that. The spiritual part of it is part of that. Why it is you see some person born and say, he's born with a silver spoon, but anything he touched just turned to money. No, that's karmic powers that you brought into this life. That's there for you. What's there for you is for you. Nobody else could remove that. They can't take that away. Always remember that. Just as my grandfather, my Aja, used to tell me, say, education is important. The man who never stepped into a school, education is important, because what you have in your brain, nobody could take that away from you. They could take away your house, they could take away your land, they could take away everything else. But they have to kill you to take that.
That's embedded in you.
Yeah. And he used to preach that into my head. I spent 14 wonderful years of my life with him. 14 of the best years I spent in my life with him.
Anyway, folks, taking our time, it's now 29 minutes after 8 o'clock. You're listening to The Magic of Sex Education on this Thursday evening with the only sexologist in the Caribbean, Dr. Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center located in St. Augustine, where he treats all sexual dysfunctions in both male and female. Our lines are open if you would love to interact with him, maybe something that is sexual on your mind bothering you. Well, I can tell you, this is the forum for it. Feel free. 222-8255. Also at 612-8255. If you do decide that you want to send him a text message, maybe you're a bit shy to hear yourself on radio, feel free. You can send it on his private mobile, 740-1961. You are listening to a program that's informative, educational, and of course entertaining, exclusively on Power 102 FM.
So,
before we have a caller on the line,
sure.
Hello and welcome to Sexplosion. Good evening.
Dr. Raj and Junior.
Good evening, Rani. How are you?
Hello?
Good evening. How are you?
Are you hearing me?
Yes, Granny, we are hearing you.
Yes, sir. I just can't get it. I ain't order to put.
Take your time, darling.
Yeah. Dr. Raj, Happy New Year, Junior. Happy New Year.
Thank you, family.
Yeah, how you going? I listen to you. Know that everybody's listening.
Yes, we know that for a fact.
Yes. Yes, I'm listening because since last year, every time you say coming, baby.
Well, I set a date now.
As a listen now.
Yes.
Yeah. Is everything all right? What about your children and your
Everyone is fine. And thanks for asking.